Hello viewer, welcome to Chungu cha Jamii. I'm your host Eunice Mugo. Today on the show we are talking about our youth and how they can be anchored, and also we are asking what is the call to action of the church to make sure our youth are anchored during this particular long holiday. Send in your question, interact with us across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa, or SMS line is 21144. I'm not alone. I have a guest with me who is going to help us to understand better how to help our youth to be anchored and how they're supposed to navigate around this long holiday. I will allow him to introduce himself. Welcome, guest.
Thank you so much, Eunice. My name is Francis Rishu. I'm so delighted to be in this place today, to be invited for this show because we are going to share on a very important subject. I am a life coach and I'm also a trainer. At times I don't say this, but I'm also an ordained minister of the gospel. I fellowship at the City Revival Temple, which is a ministry of Gospel Revival Center. And today, when you mention church and what church is doing towards the youth, I think this is going to be a conversation that will be helpful for us and even for the youth out there and all our viewers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Francis, for honoring our invite. Today our topic is keeping our youth anchored. More so when we talk about the church call to action during the long holiday. When I look at it, I'm looking at it from the perspective of the church. What are those things that we could say, or programs that we could say church has in the back of their mind, or aligned is the correct word. What has aligned for the youth to make sure they're anchored? Because when I look at anchor, the definition, maybe you can take us through the definition of anchor so that we are able to see exactly what are we making our youth to be anchored in.
Thank you so much, Eunice. And yeah, we are talking about the youth today, and when you talk about an anchor, because this is our focus today, one of the group of people that will really understand what an anchor is are the marine people, the people who work at sea, because it's a very important tool for them, because an anchor is something that they cannot go without when they're going on their journey. You see, there are times when the ship is in the middle of the sea, and at times it needs to stop somewhere. They need an anchor to stop it. And so what is an anchor? An anchor is something that gives you the firmness. It steadies something. It maybe holds something in a place. And therefore, the question that we are asking ourselves today about the youth, how is the church going to anchor the youth? Because before they can anchor the youth, the church has to be anchored itself. It has to be in a place where now the youth feel like they can come on board and also be part of it. And therefore, it becomes very important, because this particular firmness means that if you have something, or if you're saying that you have something, then when they come in, let them find it. It's one of the most important things to do. And so when we're talking about this youth, they need to find a place where they feel like they belong. Question.
What is the difference between the anchor we are talking about right now and the anchor of the TV anchor?
What is it? That's a difficult one. It's not a very easy one. Yeah, that's not a very easy one. But an anchor is an anchor, because this is like what I've said. The main purpose of an anchor is to bring some firmness, or maybe direction, some steady thing, where if you have decided that this thing has to stop here, or it has to be established in this way, then that anchor will be able to help you do that. And Hebrews chapter 6 and verse 19 talks about an anchor which means that the hope that we have in this anchor of the soul that makes us steady. So that anchor will make you steady, even in the soul. Even the anchor, that hope that you have, is an anchor that now is within you that keeps you steady. And so if you're talking about the anchor on the TV station, it's something that still has some stability. It's not something that will just be shaky. It's something that has ground, something that has some firmness, and something that can now be stilled to a place where it can be held in one place. Yes.
Interesting. Moving on, now that you have already defined what is anchor and what it means for you to be anchored, maybe we can look to understand the challenges that our youth are facing, especially during the long holiday. When we say youth, we are looking at a particular age because youth are given a certain age group. Yes. But maybe we can look at it from the perspective of even the teenagers. They're also growing to be youth. True. And that is where we start the journey, or rather the molding. It's true we started it at an early age, as young as they are, as young as possible. You were told to samaki mkunja angali mdogo, right?
Yeah.
But at some point you realize, because of our life-work balance, we miss a lot, right? Yes. But yet again, at that particular, especially during the teenage years, is where we make it or break it. Because that is when we get, our children are getting to know themselves. Yes. To start redefining themselves away from the parents, yes. Wanting to have that sort of independency. And also at that particular time is where parents also don't have time. So when we are now starting to mold and guide them so that they move into a right direction, also in line in anchoring, because we have to have those fundamentals that keep them grounded to who they are and who they are planning to become in the near future. So what are those challenges that we face from that early stage until we make them to be the people they want to be?
Now, the youth, when you're talking about the long holidays, it poses two things. One of them could be an opportunity, and the other one could be a risk. And if we don't take care of these two things, or if we don't take advantage for us to be able to help the young people during this season, then we will either face one of the two. It is an opportunity for parents to bond with their children. It is an opportunity for these children to bond with their parents, but it is also a risk because children, they get home, they've just come from school, and it's good that you mentioned about the younger ones, so we are talking about the young people, not just the youth. So we are just talking about these young people. Many young people go to boarding schools. They've been sent there by their parents, and now they've come back home with an expectation. Now they're eager to rest, take a break. They are eager to meet their friends. They are eager to maybe relax and watch TV. They are eager to use their gadgets that they have at home. Some of them are eager to connect in many ways. And so they have all these ideas. And so it becomes a risk if these children are not directed in a certain way, because they have a lot of time in their hands to do so many things. But any time that they have that is not structured for them will be a risk for them. Now, why is it a risk for them? Because any time that is not structured in purpose will turn out to be time that the world will give pressure to these children. Because the children have different types of pressures. One of the pressure is peer pressure. I like saying that birds of a feather flock together. But I also like adding that they also land on the same tree. So you don't expect to work with people who are taking drugs and then think you're not going to land there. You will also land there on the same tree. For us who have grown in the village, we know we can see birds flying, but none of them goes to a different tree. They all land on the same tree. So if we are birds of the feather working together and what we are doing is not correct, the likelihood is that the risk there is our children will also take up that kind of behavior. So there is peer pressure. Number two, the children have come back home. There are also pressures that are connected to the family. Now, some families are not stable. The parents are not seeing eye to eye, for example. Probably we have financial constraints in the family. And then this child has come back home, but immediately they land home, they see the situation that they have already known has been there. Lack of finances, I don't know how I'm going to go to school. They're already stressed. They're already thinking in January because they're wondering, will I even go to school? Now, if there's no harmony in the home, there's also another type of pressure that is coming from them. Pressure number three, that the youth are facing is what we call social media pressure. Because with their gadgets, they have their phones there, they have the internet. And now one of the challenges is some of them may not limit their screen time. And so they are not being productive in their life. What they are doing is just looking at their phones, watching movie after movie. If they are not looking at their phones, they are looking at the computer. If it is not the computer, it is the TV. And so a whole day is spent with them sitting in front of a screen, which is not productive for them. And so that is where now the church comes in. What has been structured for these children so that they're able to move into that state. And one of the things that can happen, or a few things that can happen that many churches may be able to embrace, the church has a responsibility to have what we call an anchor of spiritual things, their spirituality. Prepare programs that are going to help them in their spiritual lives to be able to grow in that sense. They also have an anchor which is about social life. Now, I've talked about birds of a feather landing on the same tree. If these children do not have friends in the church and their friends are out there, then the likelihood, after a few days, they will go back to their friends out there, simply because we did not prepare for them. And then there's also another anchor that we're going to mention is called the skill anchor. Within a church, this is a community of believers. This is a community of people who are professionals. There are many professionals in their own right. These professionals, you don't need even to outsource. You may not have a budget for getting people, professionals from outside. But within your congregation, there are people who understand things that can help these young people. What programs have you put in place? For example, if you're a teacher, are you coming up with a program that will help with these children during the holidays? And then the church takes it up and organizes this thing for the young people. And so those anchors are also very important for these young people. Yes.
Interesting. When you put it like that, a lot is coming to my mind. It's true you have all the resources when you're in church and you don't have to outsource. But now, in church, we are having a lot of criticism and also a lot of politics. Church is being politicized by their own members and also the external affairs. When you say you bring these people together and also the activities, what exactly are we looking at? Because as a teacher, like you've put as an example, I'd want to have tuitions maybe during the holiday. That's an extra income away from maybe the salary that I'm expecting as a full-time teacher. And when it's going to church, how does church come in play in regards to now compensation and remuneration? Because the time you say at some point you may not have the budget, you may not have the budget to outsource. But those who are church members, are they willing to voluntarily give their time back to the students, back to the youth? Am I available? Okay, a teacher could be available because the school are closed, but could be having a very different arrangement because we are all selfish and we are all humans. Selfish in the sense of, I want to do something is benefiting me as a person. I don't want to look something that is going to benefit Francis and not benefit me. Unless it's a 50-50 win. I know Francis is going to benefit from this, and I'm also going to benefit. But the moment I say it's one-sided, because when I say politicized, it's because if it's a program, everyone wants to have a cut on it. So also when you put monetary attachments to it, like for this program, the whole of this month we'll be having this and these activities for our children, then parents, you need to contribute like, let's say 3,000 for 1, 2, 3. Some parents will be like, that's not a lot of money. I can do away with parting with 3,000, but I don't want this hustle and bustle of thinking about my children from 7 to 5 p.m. I want them to be somewhere engaged fully. I don't have to think about it. And there is someone who will say, that's a lot of money, you know,
yes.
There's a lot of things to look at. So when the church is planning such things, what are we looking at? What do you look at? What are those things that you'd say? Because criticism will come from every direction. So what are those navigation tools?
Right. That's a very good question. And it's also a very broad question because I know churches have different policies and also different struggles within them. And when we're talking about this kind of program, number one, the church is the salt and the light. In other words, whatever happens in the world could be contrary to what happens in the church because they are the salt, so they bring in the flavor. Now, having said that, you know, in the society that we live in, we've had the young people being told that they are leaders of tomorrow. All right? Now, the same, if you brought the same in the church, then it means that you're not going to give these young people an opportunity to even understand themselves because you're waiting for tomorrow. But now, being the salt, now, number one, in a church setting, you may not be paid. But it doesn't mean that whatever you're doing cannot be facilitated to ensure that it's easy for you to serve. So that is the setting of the church because you may not receive a pay, but you're taken care of in terms of, and I'm so glad that because I mentioned that I'm in a fellowship somewhere, we have a program from the 28th of this month for those young children. One of the things that we really invest in is the young people because we know this is the posterity of the church. It is the posterity of the work of the kingdom. And therefore, we put a lot of emphasis on the young people. And so now we need to get to a place where we have the understanding. And of course, when I'm talking about having a teacher who can volunteer, not all teachers are going to volunteer. It's a very beautiful thing if you got a teacher to teach your child who has a calling for teaching. That one is different from a teacher who is there for a salary. Because for them, it is a call. And when it is a call, they do it with their heart because they desire to see the best coming out of these children. And so that becomes a blessing. So not everybody will come on board, but the few that are able to come on board, and of course, you know, the time is also limited. You cannot have everybody on board teaching, but every one of us can do something towards helping our young people. Now, let me give you a few examples. Now, you look at somebody called David. David was a young person, but David had responsibility and worship. And now I'm coming to the youth. Now, we need to encourage them. They are not leaders of tomorrow. They are not going to be involved tomorrow. They should be involved today. Now, their today is David was a worshiper, but he also took responsibility. David loved what his father loved. And so as young people who have come home now, you have a responsibility in that house. Don't assume that your parents are going to do everything, because in so doing, you will miss out on something very important, some lessons that you need to grow in that house. Number two, look at somebody like Joseph. Joseph had integrity. We need to get our youth to know that integrity and being in a place where they can stand for truth is a very important thing. And that may elevate them. And you see, these are things that we need to build in their lives. Jesus Christ, when he was young, the parents realized that he's not around, he's not in the house. But they thought he was lost, but he was not lost. Now, look at the parent today. You're a parent today, you don't know where your child is, and then you find them in their father's house. They are in the church, and they are debating, they are talking about things that have a lot of sense with the elders there. You see, the youth are not supposed to wait. They have that responsibility. Now, let's get to somebody like Timothy. Timothy is a young person. Now, Timothy started being nurtured because the Bible talks about when I saw the faith of your grandmother and your mother, and now he was taken in. Now, there are things that you're going to do as a young person. You're going to be involved in some programs. You're going to be involved in some ministry, and that will elevate you in future days. So it was easy for Paul to take Timothy as a mentee because he had seen the faith of this young person. There was a particular thing that he had done. Look at Esther, courage. A young lady, but courageous, and she says, if I die, let me die. That is a lot of courage. Can I give one more? Or maybe two more? Esther. And then there's Daniel. Daniel had a conviction. a very deep conviction that he would stand for truth. Even when they told him that you are going to die if you continue praying, the conviction was so great to a point that God worked a miracle for him. Now, these are things that are being done by very young people. Now, think about Samuel, the last one. Samuel had understood how to hear God when he was very young. And before he became a prophet, he was in service. So the youth need to understand there is something that you can do today. You can begin to serve today. You're not a leader of tomorrow. Start serving today, because your higher office is waiting for you tomorrow.
Interesting. I want us to move on and look at time wasted or being idle. So being idle in terms of time.
Yes.
What does it contribute in terms of moral and social and spiritual attributes, in the sense of I'm wasting a lot of time, or I'm being idle? Because we're told an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So when you're idle, you tend not to do things that are productive, either to yourself or to the people around you. That one goes unquestioned. It has no age bound when you choose to be a time waster. But now, the question is, what does it contribute in terms of moral and social and spiritual implication, or the upbringing of this youth? Because that is the time. They think they'll have all the time in the world.
Beautiful. Now, it has been said that too much of something is poisonous. It doesn't matter what it is. In the book of the Revelation, the Bible talks about gluttons who are not going to enter the kingdom of heaven. Eating food, too much of food is a problem. And so too much of something is poisonous. Even those gadgets that you're talking about, wasted time. Now, time is one of the most, what do I say, equal employer. Because each one of us has 24 hours. The people who have achieved more than us did not achieve it because they were given more hours to work. They took care of their time. And so when you waste your time, you're actually wasting your life. Now, you may think, and you see, when you begin to like, for example, the screen time that I talked about, that is time that is lost. And the parents are not saying, or we are not saying, that the young people should not use their phones. But you cannot use your phone the whole day. You cannot use your phone the whole day. That is wasting time. You can use your phone, put some hours and say, for this 1 hour, I'll be checking my messages, I'll be checking some news, I'll be doing this, but after that 1 hour, I'll just read a book for 30 minutes. Or maybe I need to do this task. Because they don't realize when you get glued to your phone, for example, you don't even realize that time is flying. Maybe you're seated on the sofa, or you're lying there. You realize when you look out, there's darkness, but you sat on that sofa when it was morning. And then you realize that you have wasted a lot of time, and that time is not going to come back. And therefore, as young people, and even as parents, but you see the unfortunate bit, when I hear people talking about the children of today, I normally tell them, because they've been raised by the parents of today. And that's a truth. Because the parents of today, what they do, when your child begins to cry, you give them the phone, so that they look at it and start playing games and start watching some videos, some cartoons, and then, now when they grow up, why do you want them to change? We are the ones who have continued to train them that way, and we have not shown them that there's a limit to this particular thing. And so it becomes very important for our young people to understand that time wasted is not going to be recovered. It's like a river that has flowed downstream. You never get that water again. And therefore, they need to be deliberate in how they spend their time. They need to program themselves and be intentional on how these things are done. But the other thing is this, that parents need to supervise. But not just supervise, and also encourage them. Because at times, people don't do what you expect. People do what you inspect. What they know you're going to inspect, if you told them to do this particular thing, give them small tasks to do, but ensure that you inspect whether they did those tasks. Because if you're not going to inspect, it will not be done. That's the nature of human beings. If they know you're not going to inspect, they will not do it. But if they know you're going to come at some point to look at it, they will ensure that they do it. So let's ensure that we also make them accountable. And you see, by so doing, we're also teaching them. Because these young people are also going to get into the workspace, employment. In employment, many times you're not given many chances. You make a mistake once and you're done for. And therefore, they need to understand that is not the environment in the workplace, because the company needs to run. Profits need to be made. You cannot continue to lazy around. But if you do not train yourself at home, or you do not train yourself by doing what you're doing now, then you'll find that you have wasted too much time. And catching up will be, you can catch up, but it will take a lot of effort. Yes.
Interesting. I want us to take a break, and when we come back, I want to ask, are church doing enough to ensure our young people are well anchored when they are out of school at this season? Viewers, I hope you're learning as much as I am. Send in your question, interact with us across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Youth Hub show that gets a groove on. We have so many topics lined up for you guys.
Can you survive without internet?
No, I can't. Siwezi survive bila internet mimi.
Hii ni kama kuambia mtu mwenye alikuwa amezoea kushinda na nguo, mwambie toa nguo ushinde. She's still like Tito who believes in miracles.
Don't you believe in miracles?
Don't you believe in miracles?
If you're in love, akili inafungika na macho. You won't see anything negative in the relationship.
So my films, I can get funding to get a lot of time to do pre-production, so that when I'm shooting, costume ulishapanga, kila watu wako wanajua wanavaje, shooting location, like that process ya kwenda ku secure location, kwenda ku live secure location, you get and like wow, hii location ikiweza pata,
this is where it will all happen.
It makes you happy.
Kuwa na vitu mingi sana, mapanga le nini, kisasa hizo issues zimekuwa zinachocha sana. Tunataka kutuka hivyo tu bila hii mambo ya mneti.
Are you ready? So yes, the logo. Reveal. Cadillac. Unasema Cadillac. Tunapenda watu yeye. We love communicating, we love welcoming people.
Internet ikikuja kutotoa pangiza.
So today we're diving into a topic that has become rather popular right here in Kenya, the K-pop culture.
I would say K-pop invokes creativity, like mega creativity. I have friends who are creative and you see you've done that and they're like, yeah. An ex told me that K-pop girls, K-pop stan girls, who's like, the men you stan look like women, and you aim to get a man that looks like that. So if you fail to find a man like that, because obviously you're in Kenya, you're not going to find a pretty man. For me, it's like I have two personalities at this point. I have my normal life and I have my army life. Because when I get into my army life, it's just like a whole new world. A community full of people who don't judge, people who accept you. Learning Korean from a Kenyan can sometimes mess you up, because they pronounce words differently, and when you speak to a native, it's like, hold up, what did you say?
I've never met like a K-pop fan. I don't know why. What am I? No, not many people want to like express themselves like I'm a K-pop fan. Unless you see them like wearing like a branded t-shirt or a branded hoodie, and you realize that they're K-pop fan.
The main campaign of BTS is loving yourself, right? And K-pop has a lot of drawbacks. Just like anything else, too much of something is poisonous, yeah? And one of the drawbacks is it comes with beauty, because they have these absurd beauty standards. While BTS passed this message that you're supposed to love yourself, embrace yourself, you're just perfect the way you are. You know, you don't have to eat less to be beautiful. You're beautiful from the inside, right? Getting to BTS, it's hard to come out.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Nyabio. I'm from Mahanim. Call this school a good school because the second my mom saw it, she saw it was Christian-based. And when I see Christian-based, that's what the character my mother wants from me. And I like the sports that we play for PE. Like sometimes we play table tennis, we can play football, we match, and on Fridays we have games. And we verse the teachers in football. And this is why I think this school is the best school your children can go to.
Jina ni Coach Martin Musili. I'm a coach, as I've stated. E-sport nilitambua since 2015, 2016.
Kuna sports mingi man, but nilikutiga kwa fencing.
Kwa e-sport kuna kitele, kuna pesa kweli.
In as much as tunaiplay, tunaitumia pia kama life skills. Si shule peke yake, pia corporates. Na tunakuja tunafunza strategic thinking. It can create an avenue for a scholarship. If maybe anacheza shule, a scholarship. Maybe anaweza advertise ile corporate.
Nini imekukeep kwa game? Like ni strategy gani unatumia? Unafeel strategy ndio imenyekanga hapa, unafeel kupeleka mbali. Alafu utaniambia ni strategy gani imekumake unatumia as a player, ona ile strategy yangu inafanyanga na win game. Hata as a coach, ni strategy gani unaonanga hii nikitumia nasaidia player wangu kudefeat opponent wake. Requirements zangu ni nini? Nini nataka kwa fencer? What are the requirements?
All you have to be, as long as you can walk, you can move your arms and you can think on your feet. You can fence.
Ili kujua mengi, jiunge nami Omala Brian kwenye GBS TV Sports Sugu Show. This is where passion meets the game.
Everywhere GBS.
You are to Chungu cha Jamii. Today we are talking about keeping our youth anchored, and also how church is coming to play as a call to action during the long holiday. Just in case you're joining us, please send us your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. So before we went on a break, I'd ask you a question, and we are asking, is church doing enough to ensure that our youth are anchored during this long holiday?
My take is that the church is doing something, but they have not done enough.
Okay.
That would be my position, because I know there's a lot of work to be done. There's also there's always room to improve. And of course, you see, the other thing is when we talk about doing enough, you see, at times you want to prescribe something that you think is best for me. Yet we have not understood whether that is what is good for me. And therefore, probably we may come up with programs that we think are going to be beneficial for the young people. And so the reason I'm saying it's not doing enough is possibly because you may plan a meeting for the young people where you want to preach. And preaching is not what they want during this season. They want some presence. And the kind of presence that they want, number one, like I said, that spiritual anchor. The present, they want to get to know, is this thing, you know, at times we talk about faith matters, but some of them have never experienced them. So they want to understand, is this thing real? Now, the other presence that they want is, are they connecting with new friends? So what are these programs that the church has prepared for the young people, for them to be able to connect? Like, for example, is it a retreat? Is it a hiking group that they have come up with? Is it maybe, have they been told to to come together and prepare a skit or a place, sort of. Because the youth of today, if you do not involve them in the planning, don't expect to involve them when you have planned for them. And therefore, that is where at times the church is trying, but you have not brought them on board. So even when you're doing the planning, let these young people be involved. Let them share their ideas. Let them say how they see it. And then we can also now come up with a structure that now will help them. And therefore, that's why I'm saying the church also needs to do some survey, their own survey, to know what is this thing that really connects with the youth. You see, Adolf Hitler doesn't have a very good name. Adolf Hitler was a leader in Germany. He's known for the massacre or killing of about 1 million Jews. But there's one thing that Adolf Hitler knew. He said that give me the music of the young generation of a nation, and I will take that nation. In other words, he understood that what these youth love, if you give it to them, you're going to take that nation. And it's even interesting that even in our nation, even during the campaign season, they bring in people to sing the music of the young people. Why? Because they really connect with what is being said. Also, if we are going to give them programs that they are not connecting to, and then think we have done enough, we have not.
On that note, maybe you can take us through what are some of the practical engagements that are we talking about, especially when it comes to balancing church fun and also faith-based activities to keep our young people interested. What are those practical things?
Yeah, one of the practical things is like mentoring or mentorship, a mentorship arrangement. Like, for example, you may have some young people getting to identify people they admire in the church, who they can work with in terms of, you allow them to choose, because there are people that you can even sit as an individual, even for us adults. There are people we look up to. You just look at them and you admire what they do and you want to connect with them. And so the youth can also be given an opportunity. Is there somebody in this congregation you feel you want to be mentored by? And you'll be surprised. So that mentorship journey is one thing. Number two, we're also going to have things like youth camps. Now, what happens in these youth camps now is where now we need to agree. And then there's also, like, for example, you can come up with Bible trivias or something. And I've also mentioned hiking and all that. You may even engage them into doing some evangelism work. Maybe going to some children's home. They come together, they bring up resources, you challenge them to go to their parents and get money, or go to some, you see, when they're raising those funds, they also feel like they're doing something. And then when they go and minister to the children, maybe in a children's home, that's an activity that those children will desire to do another time. At times, you can even go for outreach. Now, outreach can be door to door. They go with an experienced person. Maybe they have never done it before. They don't know how to stop somebody on the street and talk to them. You see, they're being mentored in that direction. And so by doing all these things, there are so many things that can encourage these young people to come on board and be part of what is being done. And you see, when a youth or when a young person becomes part of what is being done, later on they become builders of that particular ministry that is happening.
Interesting.
Yes.
Moving on, this one goes, we especially when it comes to parents, they ask this question a lot. The spiritual growth, where at this age is where we find our youth and our teenagers withdrawing from church for a reason or the other. And now the question is, how can a young person, how can a young person groom, is it grooming? Or rather aligning themselves in terms of responsibility and spiritual growth, so that during this holiday, themselves, can they be able to do that, align themselves in the spiritual growth during the holiday?
Very good question. Now, one of the challenges we have as parents and our young children is that many parents are not good examples. And if a parent is not a good example in matters to do with that spirituality bit, it becomes very difficult for you to send your child to go there.
I have a question as you answer that one, to marinate it.
Yes.
Where does the statement of do as I say, not as I do come in play?
No, that's a statement of somebody who doesn't want to be accountable and to be responsible.
It's not monkey see, monkey do, please. That is where we are from that.
That's where we've come from. But you see, the thing is, these are spiritual matters. You're telling your children to pray, they never see you pray.
I pray in my heart.
All right? You pray in their heart. So why are you assuming they're not praying in their heart? Why are you pushing other things to them? And so that is what they want to see. They want to see it being done by this person that is telling them. And therefore, and that's why I got challenged and came up with a book. I mentioned a book to you, which is a book that is there to help parents to have sessions with their children. I know it is a difficult thing to do when it comes to you sitting down with your son or your daughter to talk. But that book is there to help a parent to share, be vulnerable to their children, and the children can also be vulnerable to the parent. Because every parent that I know from my past used to be number one in school, which is not a truth. There's no parent who was failing in school. Many, they were all number one. And so this is the information that we are giving out there. But when the children tell you, show me your papers, you cannot show them your papers. And therefore, that's why I'm saying we also need to be vulnerable. So when the children are going through a challenge, you can now encourage them and tell them, this is not new. I've been there. But this is what we can do. This is what is possible. Your spirituality is important. And you see, that spirituality, when they begin to grow, it's a personal experience that will help them in their journey of faith. And therefore, we also need to become very good examples. But how do we become good examples? By also encouraging them, by also being there, our presence. I had mentioned before about the presence. They want to see the parent present. They want to see you there, even if you're not very spiritual. But where are you taking them? Because if it's a good thing, let us eat together. Yeah.
I really do agree to what you're saying. But at some instances, especially when it comes to activities that you need to partake together with your children, parents tend to sideline themselves, associating it with work, no time to be able to be part of those activities, in as much as it's a very small price to pay. So when we are now talking also about bringing in about mentorship program, do we leave all the responsibilities to the mentors to be able to guide the mentees without the parents being present and being excused in regards to maybe looking for money, work, and also not having ample time with their children?
No, that responsibility should not be left to the mentors only. The mentors have their place and the parents also have their place. I agree that parents are working hard to ensure that, that these children are comfortable, that these children have gone to school. But we also need to understand as parents that our children do not so desire so much the presence that we give them, but they desire our own presence, being with them. I remember working for an organization that was had a very demanding schedule. And when I left that organization, one of the things that I had to do for a whole year was to connect with my children. Because of the nature of work, we had detached. And you see, that's not a very good place for your child. It may be easy for you when they're still teenagers, but when they become young adults, it will be very difficult for you if you have not created a relationship, because they've not been listening to you. You've not been giving them instructions or direction. So why should they listen to you now when they have their own minds?
I'm your parent to start with. That goes unquestioned.
That's a demand that you're going to make, but it is going to be difficult from the rules. Actions. From
my house, my rules.
And it's not difficult for the young people to walk away. They can walk away from that house that you're claiming is your house. But when they walk away, it is not necessarily that they're going to get a very good life out there. Now, when they begin to suffer, it comes back to you.
No, you choose your poison.
No.
You choose. You go, you face consequences, you come first. We start from where you left.
But you will never run away from them. They
True.
are still your children.
True.
And so that responsibility will come squarely on you.
I don't dispute. Yes. It's equally for us too. Why? Because if it is wrong consequences, you're suffering first as the child before I suffer. Because mine, maybe if I'm told I'm suffering, I'm either suffering emotionally or, how do we put it, emotionally. Mentally could be, because now when it comes to the mental part of it is, am I even inclined to exactly what you're going through? Because the child could be going through mental issues, has gone out, is suffering maybe from depression, the peer pressure, name everything that the child is going through. If the child is being drained mentally, I may not feel it as much. Why? I'm not the one who is feeling that one. It's the child. I'm just coming here to help you think. But if you had listened to me as your parent in the first place, maybe you wouldn't have gone to this direction. But because, I'm not saying I've not been there, but we tend to be rebellious children at that particular age when you want to send some statement or you want to make yourself known, not knowing or understanding the repercussions. So my question would be, me as a parent, can I stand still and stand my grounds? Because at some point, regardless of everything that happens, even if you come back, mostly the pain or the cost that a parent has to go, it's monetary, in most of the time, monetary, and maybe losing a child in that space before bringing them back together to their sanity and to their footing. In most of the time.
Yes.
But who is bearing most of the burden is this child who is being rebellious. But now, understanding that the repercussion will dwell more to him or her is now where they draw a line of, I'm a grown-up, I'm independent. What if, because we have those parents who do that. In Africa, this is why we don't abandon our children. Let's go to westernization. The moment you hit 18, you hit 21, whatever you do with your life, it's your own responsibility. Don't come back to me. It's only in Africa we accept our children, even as old as 40. If they have failed, you embrace. When you go to the Western world, if you're more diverse, where are they going to accept you even at 25? So exactly how do we do this life balance when it comes to now parenting and the youth? Because we also need the tough love at some point.
Yes.
So how do we play around it?
There's a friend of mine who says that, you see, there's an age that you can control your children.
Sure.
But there's an age that it gets to, and this friend of mine was saying that you whip them with the right hand and then you pull them back with the left hand.
Most difficult thing
yeah, it's very difficult.
True.
And I'm just, as you're asking that question, you see, we are talking about anchoring them. And then I'm thinking about this parent, the child has not left, but they were not anchored, and then they joined this group of people, their peers, and then they got into drugs or alcoholism, and now they are hooked. But they come to your house every day. Now, with the demands that you're going to place there, that you're saying it is your house, that child is now in a place where they're not just alcoholics, they are getting to the level where now they are sick. Now, this is a sick person, and they don't see anything big. I remember one child who was saying one day he went and smoked bang with his peers, and then the father was coming, and he was seated beside the road, and he saw the father's car. It was this small. And he felt like he can just pick it up and throw it away. That is what he was saying because of the bang. And the father looked at him and noticed this guy has taken something. He just asked him, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Yes, I'm okay." I said, "If you need anything, I'm at home." Because he knew his state. That guy was sick. That young person, when now he sobered up, he told Daddy, "No, I need to be helped." You see? Now, the young people also have their way of perception. They have demands. But some of these demands may not be correct. They may not be demands that have information, proper information within them. Because like, for example, in that scenario that you're trying to paint, Now, there's this young person who thinks they're an adult. What does an adult do? An adult takes care of themselves. So leave the house, fend for yourself. You're an adult. You don't expect as a young person that now you're an adult, you can speak, and then you're making demands in somebody else's house. So that is where, and at times when you try to correct them, they think you're maybe making noise, you're being unreasonable, but you see, they don't see it in the perception that my parent is instructing me in a certain way that will help me later, because they have a mind of their own. But you see, now, even if with that mind, you have no experience. And so it's easy to say something that you can do, but when you get out there, you realize life is not as easy. And therefore, that's why I'm saying you cannot, as a parent who now understands where you are, you know, this young person is not well informed. And so you begin to try and see how you give them the right thing. Because it's very easy. Yeah, I can let you go. How are you going to fend for yourself? How much do you make in a day? Are you sure that you can pay for your house rent? And then they begin to realize, I'm making zero. So who will pay for your house? And so that
you
is what...
go suffer for yourself.
So when you feel like you're an adult and you can stand for yourself, then go and do it. But you see, you as a parent know when they step out there, they cannot do it. And so you need to see how to guide them so that now you bring them back in line so that they can think properly and also be able to channel their strengths in a proper way.
One thing that really puzzles me when it comes to adulting and parenthood is the fact that you're not supposed to be predictable. We are always advised to be unpredictable because they say the moment your child is able to predict your next move, your next statement, you're both doomed because they know how to manipulate you. I don't know if I should call it a God-given gift or it's a talent, or how does it even go? Because the moment you are very predictable, your children tend to manipulate you. They know how to corner you. So they know, if I tell you this, this is how you're going to react. This is what you're going to ask. Then I'm going to give you this. And by the end of the day, you dance to their tune. So when do we now come to the realization of getting to know that at some point, because even at some point with parents who are wise enough and they're also unpredictable, they know, I've been here. So these games that you're trying to do, I also did it to my parents, and I know this is what you want to achieve. So day one, you agree, they achieve, they think they have won. Then the next time they try, you counterattack the plan and it fails on their face. So what are these lessons that you are trying to get from this? Because by the end of the day, you say you weep with this, you bring closer with this. It's a win-win because by the end of the day, they're still our children. And it's in an African setup where we've been brought up knowing you don't neglect your child regardless of how bad they are. The same way we say, as a child, I cannot disown my parents, no matter how bad they are. And they turn out to be different. I can't neglect, or I can't say they're not my parents. The same way goes to the parent. You can't say this is not my child, however bad they turn out to be. But who is taking that now responsibility?
All right, very good question. Now, children can easily manipulate you, like you've said. Very easy for them to manipulate you. But then, parents also need to learn, because in every house, every child and every member of that house needs to have a responsibility, however small. If, for example, the mother in the house is the one cleaning the utensils, can the small child wipe the windows or wipe the table? So this is a training ground, because every person, there's no person who needs to sit and depend fully on the other person. They need to make a contribution. It's now the idea of making a contribution. Now, for children who have both parents, I have seen and I've witnessed several times when they manipulate one parent, because they go to the mother and they're asking for permission to do something, and the mother says no, and then they run to the father, who they know will agree. Now, if the father agrees without knowing what the mother had said, then that child has manipulated both of you. And so now, when parents realize that is happening, now you need to take a step further. You need to ask that child, what did your mother tell you? She told me not to go. Then that is what you follow. So you're becoming smarter. But then the other thing is, I said, they also have responsibilities, but they also have demands. And children want their demands met very fast, but they don't want to do what they were told to do. So that also becomes a bargaining ground for you as a parent.
True.
Because you ask them, before we even talk about this, did you do what I told you to do? Did you clean the shoes? Is the rack in order? And they're like, I didn't do it. I'll go and do that first. So they know there's a responsibility. And there's some accountability that they also need to bring from their part. And then even after they do it, how did they do it? You see, there are some who are going to do it just to make sure that the shoes were removed from here and they were taken here to the rack, but they were not cleaned well. So that's why I said, you need to inspect. Did they do it well? If they did not do it well, they have to do it again before they bring their demands. And you see, that way, that manipulation will also come with a go and take. And then parents are also getting into a place where they understand, and also the children understand that if I go to daddy, he will send me back to mom. They will never manipulate you again. So it's a process of growth, because it goes with the stages. But no child should be in a house where they feel like they should do nothing. I know some of them have been raised with house girls. There's a time where it reaches where you have to tell the house girl, I've given you some break, let them do the work.
It's the most difficult thing to do, especially in this era, because I've been able to see children who you tell them even to clean a plate and they tell you, I don't know how to clean a plate, unapologetically. Which at some point I even don't blame them, because one, they don't have the interest, two, they have been having people who do that. Anyway, for the essence of time, I'm being told we've run out of time. Please give us your parting shots.
I don't know whether there's time to say this, but a very interesting thing that happened in that point that you've just finished with, where when I came to the city, my father had to come to my room, small room, just to make sure that I cook for myself. Because at home, my mother would tell you, can you bring the onion? You bring it. Can you bring the sufuria? Bring it. And she tells you, why don't you cut it? You cut it. And then bring the oil. Put it on the jiko. You put it on the jiko. Before you realize you're the one who has cooked that meal. And so I started rebelling and said, no, you're making us cook. You're saying that. And so that in itself trained me. So when I came to the city, my dad had to come and confirm whether this guy cooks. Because at home, I had said, no, I don't want to cook. And so those are the responsibilities that I'm saying. And so when the youth are engaged, then they will own the process. And when they own the process, they're going to be the builders of that process.
Interesting. Good way to end the conversation. Viewers, I hope you've learned as much as I have. Let's continue this conversation offline across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. Till next time, have a nice time. Goodbye.
Everywhere, GBS.